She lost everything. The house she spent nearly half a century paying off, the security she built through years of sacrifice, and the peace she dreamed of enjoying in retirement. And it wasn't destroyed by scammers, criminals, or sophisticated fraud. No, she lost it all because of a single decision. One signature made out of love, by trusting her own family too much. She added her granddaughter's name to the house title. And today, at 74 years old, she's homeless, living a reality she never imagined facing in her old age. If you're over 60, pay close attention, because this story, sadly, is happening to thousands of retirees every year. And the worst part? Almost no one talks about it. But Dave Ramsey has been warning people for decades. Most only realize the danger once they're already drowning in the consequences. That's why you need to hear this until the very end. This might be the warning that protects everything you've built your entire life. Her story began early. She started working at 17, first in factories, then cleaning houses, taking on double and triple shifts to raise her children alone after losing her husband. There was never any surplus. Every penny was counted. She never expected help from anyone. She worked, sacrificed, gave up personal dreams, vacations, and comfort, always focused on providing a minimum level of stability for her family. Years and years of effort, deprivation, and pain that only those who have lived through it can truly understand. But after decades, she made it, her own home. She paid every installment, paid off the mortgage, and owed nothing to anyone. That house was her safe haven, her reward for a lifetime of effort. She used to say, "As long as I have my home, I'll be okay." It wasn't luxury. It was dignity, independence, peace, security. Her granddaughter was always her pride. She raised her like a daughter, fed her, educated her, helped her at every stage. They were always close, loving. The trust was absolute. Until the day her granddaughter made a suggestion that would change everything. "Grandma, let's put my name on the house title. If anything happens to you, I can handle everything easily. No lawyers, no probate, no legal headaches. It's just a precaution." She hesitated for a moment. Dave Ramsey's voice echoed somewhere in her mind. "Never add anyone to your house title. You're exposing everything you've built." But it was her granddaughter, her little girl, her blood. How could she say no? She thought, she would never do anything to hurt me. It's just paperwork. It'll make things easier for the family's future. And she signed. One signature, one small gesture. And that's how the tragedy began. For the first few months, everything seemed the same. She continued living in her home, paying her bills, living normally. She even told her friends she felt at peace, having taken care of everything ahead of time. But the danger was already quietly growing. Her granddaughter, meanwhile, was facing serious financial problems. Credit card debt, failed business ventures, delinquent personal loans. And when the debts became unsustainable, the creditors came. Because her granddaughter's name was now on the title, the house became a legal target. Dave Ramsey always explains, when you add someone to the title, their debts threaten your home. And the creditors wasted no time. Lawsuits were filed. Liens were placed on the property. The house became a legal battlefield. The grandmother started receiving threatening letters, constant phone calls, official notices. She couldn't understand what was happening. She had never missed a payment, never had debts. Why were they saying she could lose her house? She panicked and called her granddaughter. At first came the promises, "Grandma, don't worry, I'll fix everything, I'm talking to the lawyers. Nothing bad will happen." But nothing was fixed. The debts had already reached an irreversible level. The phone calls became less frequent, the messages more sporadic, the visits stopped, and as the months passed, the granddaughter disappeared completely. Shame turned distance into abandonment. The creditor's attorneys tightened the pressure. Court hearings were scheduled. The demands became increasingly aggressive, and finally, the definitive decision came. The house would be auctioned to pay off the debts. At 74 years old, she was forced to leave the home she spent 45 years paying for. Now she rents a small place, with rising rent quickly draining what little savings she had left. She cuts her pills in half to make them last longer. She sells personal belongings. She calculates every grocery purchase. She lives in fear, in shame, in pain. At night, sitting in a small room, she looks at old photos of the house where she raised her children, watched her grandchildren grow up, celebrated holidays and birthdays. Now it's all gone, all wiped away because of one signature, out of love, out of too much trust. And the cruelest part, this story isn't rare. Thousands of retirees are making the same mistake right now. Not out of irresponsibility, not out of poor character, but out of limitless love, out of not knowing how to say no, out of not understanding the legal consequences hidden in these small gestures. Dave Ramsey repeats this constantly. Financial boundaries are protection. They're not cruelty. They're true love. After 60, there's no room for these risks. There's not enough time to rebuild financially. If you lose your security at this stage of life, you lose everything. That's why, if you're over 60, you need to hear this truth seriously. Never add anyone to your house title. Never share ownership of your most valuable asset. Never mix love with financial risk. One signature can erase 40 years of sacrifice. If this story touched you, comment right now. I choose my financial peace, and subscribe to this channel. Here, truth comes first, even when it hurts, because only the truth protects what's yours.